last physical event, I think, it was at Paradox here in Stockholm.
Yeah.
I mean, we do talks and then we do on conference, and then one of the unconference topics was pretty much what you're bringing in today.
Mhm.
And you're pretty much saying, hey, let's figure out what is trendy on the internet and write the article about that and link from there to whatever I care about.
Exactly. Okay, so what I'm trying to present is the content strategy we take for our DevRel program. So, what is a content strategy? Is which I will talk about next. Is basically what you want to write and what angle you want to write about, and it depends on a lot of different things. So my talk is basically based on this article which I've like mentioned here. It's written by Ryan Law in the Animals, uh, and it's new, as you see. So you know me basically. I'm a developer advocate at Load Impact. I was an ethical hacker and software engineer at DevRel, and I'm like beside working, I'm working on my next book, which is going to be published by Manning, and these are my um, like communication links. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm very active on it on that platform, or you can email me if you have a question or anything. So anyway, what I'm trying to cover is basically different content strategies, different goals or like objectives that each of these have with them. I basically want to focus more on SEO optimized content. Then I will present things to consider. I will present two case studies from my own blog, and also I will end with a conclusion. So basically, we have three types of content. The content that is SEO optimized, it is not going to sell anything, like obviously at least, but it's based on something, a product or service or something that is optimized to be easily searchable or findable over like internet, search engine, Google, Bing, anything. The second type of content or the second strategy you can take is thought leadership. This kind of like content is a little bit hard to write because you should have, I mean, you should assume authority over that content that you want to write. Otherwise, kind of like thought leadership in that area would be a little bit hard. Like, for example, let's say OWASP, which is a body of knowledge for security, they are thought leaders in security. So whoever goes or whoever writes anything and publishes through OWASP, they're basically thought leaders. And most of the documents are like general topics, which I will tell you about it in the case studies. The last type of content or the last strategy you can take for your content is those content that drives your sales. So these are like success stories, case studies, and those things like branchers and stuff that help you sell. So this is for sales, and I'm not going to talk about uh, goals or objectives that like these type of content bring. So the first and foremost is compounding traffic. So um, these things drive traffic to your website, to your product, to your service. Also, the next goal is to build links. So you don't want your content to be an island in an ocean. You want it to be linked to different things, and you want others to link to you, thus generating leads for you. Also, you want to grow an audience. That's another goal you can have with your content. So and the last thing is codifying message. So in especially in so optimized content, which I'm going to talk about next, the codifying message is very important. So because you cannot, you know, if you try to sell things to developers, they will stop reading your stuff. So this codifying message is to try to convey what you want to convey with that content, like encoding stuff in your content. So different goals or different objectives are more suited for different types of content. Especially for SEO optimized content, compounding traffic and generating leads is very important. Because like for compounding traffic, I'm basically rehearsing the article and I'm adding my experience to it. So the thing is that the performance of search traffic generally improves over time. So you shouldn't expect to publish an article and have people reading it just right away. You're not Microsoft, you're not like Google to publish something and have it like being read or seen like in an instant. Okay, so you should work on it. You should like engineer your text. Um, so the a good measure for the most like overall traffic for your article is 6 months. So you should at least wait for 6 months to attract as much traffic as you may think you will get based on various metrics, based on Google Analytics, search like keyword planner, search amounts, or whatever. 6 months is a good guess for that. And also, you shouldn't like write one article for each topic you want to talk about. You can like have it stack on top of each other and try to connect them together in order to let them grow over time. Like you should link them together. Also, the next thing that so optimized content help you is that they generate leads. So there's one thing called long tail keywords. Actually, I'm not a SEO expert. You should like get consultation from SEO experts, but this is my experience I'm talking about. If you target long tail keywords, those like basically three or more words, expressions or statements, which are searchable on Google. For example, you search for API load testing. This is three words. Then you can add your own thing to it, like how can I do API load testing? And this sentence um, uh, is going to be um, kind of indexed on Google. So when you search for it, then you will have your article and your question show up on Google. The most important thing in a SEO optimized article is that you should solve people's or developers' problems, and you should solve it fast. So if you want to, for example, talk about API load testing, you should try to avoid a very long, like 20, 30-minute article and try to stick with like a shorter one and then write about different topics that you mention on that article in other articles, like compounding traffic. That's it. Thought leadership type of content
May
is good for
interfere.
compounding traffic, growing an audience, and codifying message, which I'm not going to talk about. Just go read the article. And for driving sales, the content that is for driving sales uh, help you with generating leads and codifying your message. Anyway, so this is the figure I've like extracted from the article. It shows how each of these topics relate to the goals that we want to achieve. So as you see, there are some areas that these content types doesn't like they're not suited for that type of thing. They're more suited for the other types. Okay, things to consider. This is the five most important thing I found that is like very important. The first is market alignment. You're working for a company and you already know the market, or you're like trying to understand the market if you're new like me. So you should write content that is aligned with the market, or basically you should know that this content is requested by that market. Otherwise, uh, it won't like uh, show up on the search engines, because people won't find it by using keywords which are not catered or which you haven't used in your article. So you should align to that. And also you should not align. Also, this is also important, because your company, your overall company strategy and market alignment of the whole company uh, basically dictates your content. So, for example, in our company, we focus on API load testing, website load testing, and automation, like automating load testing. So, at some point in time, we'll go into like explore different new areas in load testing, like chaos engineering. But we are not going to try to position ourselves for that thing anytime soon, because then it won't work. We are not there yet. That's market alignment. The second thing is the target audience. You should see things through their eyes. If you are not a developer and you're uh, going to a devrel job and you want to write content, I bet it won't work. uh, Maybe you're a very awesome technical writer, but if you're not a developer, it doesn't work. You should know your audience, the developers, the platforms they use, the platform they get content from, where they search, how they search, and what they search for. The third one is distribution channels. This is very important, because if you don't distribute your content very well through different channels, social media, your blog, like different like blogging platforms, then it won't be seen by search engines. It won't be seen by people. The fourth thing is something that I've seen many times, especially uh, most of the engineers don't pay attention to it, is content formatting. Content formatting, like bad content formatting, can ruin your article. So you may be the best expert in the field, but with bad content formatting, you will ruin your whole like traffic, your audience, and like you will ruin everything. And the last thing is content decay. You should pay attention to your content and like try to revise it, review it, and revise it over time. Like after 2 months, after 4 months, after 6 months, after a year or so. Otherwise, yeah, there's something called the content decay, and your content won't show up on search engines, because others have written better content, or uh, there's some other reason. Anyway, uh, case studies. This screenshot I took like last night. It's like sorted in reverse. So I'm going to talk about one article, which is about code review, secure code review, and penetration testing
Yeah, and
of Node.js.
sorry for interrupting. This is on Medium, so it's not
Exactly.
some like tech publishing blog. It's Medium. Like basically, that's
Yes.
you're using the same medium that everybody uses. You don't have any specific tools.
Exactly. So the thing is, I wanted to, because I have like all my rights to talk about everything inside my articles, and I don't need to ask anyone, am I allowed to like talk about this or not? So that's why I took my own like example of my own blog on Medium, so that I can like present it like freely. Yeah, what you see on the first column, you see the like title basically. Second column is the number of views to my article. The third column is the number of reads. The fourth is the ratio of reads to views, and the last is like claps or likes. So the first article from the bottom is secure code review about security, and the other three is a series of articles about load testing, which is like newbie's guide for load testing with our tool at the company. So I'm going to try to um, see how those 5 things that I've described align with what I've written and how they drove traffic to my article. So for the secure code review article, it is for the market alignment. It is a real world experience. I was assigned as a consultant to a company to review their backend and some part of front end, and to try to penetration test their platform to see if they have any vulnerabilities and stuff. So what I did was to review 2 documents, one from OWASP and one from Microsoft, which was specifically written for doing this secure code review and penetration testing. And this article is based on my experience, like hands-on experience on a job. So it's aligned with what the market wants. The target audience for my article is penetration testers and security enthusiasts, and also like backend developers who are interested in knowing more about security or securing their backend and stuff. I've used Medium to publish my article, as you already know by now. And also I've used Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, LinkedIn. Uh,
Dev2, I guess.
yes, no depth too. And yeah, and also over time, people started sharing the link to my blog on other platforms. So, for example, I will show you next. I've seen some person who wanted to take an exam for security certification, who wrote his experience about like penetration testing and stuff, and he included my blog post in his like experience, like post-mortem of his exam. And I've seen a lot of traffic coming from that article on his blog. Um, the next thing is the content formatting. I've like if I can show you my title and subtitle and stuff. Okay, this is my story. So this is like I've used all the basically every single word you see in the title is keywords that are searched in Google. Like secure code review is a long tail keyword. Penetration testing is another thing. Node.js and JavaScript apps is just basically like search for millions of times. And also I have it like a teasing subtitle here that says or why systems fail. And also I've used a good cover I found over the internet, which I gave credit to. I gave an introduction. I tried to use bullet points and blog quotes from documents I use, and then uh, lots of other things. So I've tried to use links, references to books, to documents, to whatever, and I've like categorized my content under different titles like programming knowledge and experience, table of tools of the trade you want to use for that, or whatnot. So back to the presentation.
It was a long article.
Yeah, indeed. It's because of these like um, what you call it, the formatting of reference links. So if it was not like this formatting of like um,
Yeah, it has link attachments.
yeah,
Headers?
exactly. Yeah, the blocks of like references to articles and
Okay.
stuff that prolong the whole thing. The content is not too much. Anyway, so that's it for formatting. I've tried to do my best basically, and also for content decay, I've updated my article like after 8 months, but it was basically too late. It is still getting traffic because I reshared the article and said, "Hey there, I've updated my article. Go have a look because I've added more new content, more new articles, more new data, and just go have a look." And it like amplified my traffic. So the next is a series of articles for newbies. This is also based on experience that came out of a two weeks long onboarding at my current company. It's targeted around performance engineers, QAs, and like DevOps and developers and everyone who is interested in load testing their infrastructure, app, anything. I've used Medium to publish it and also Dev2, and I've like published it on distributed it on many other social platforms. I've also used various content formatting things like cover image. I've also included the table of contents. I've done some like bullets with QAs. If I basically can show you that. Um, yeah, yeah. So this is the first article. This is an actual dashboard from Grafana, which is built for K6. Then I have a table of contents. Then I have a bunch of questions to like warm up the mind of people who read the article. And then I started giving like some pictures of the type of test and stuff. I do call it like this. I do call it like introduction, what, how. So you give an introduction first, then you say what is that topic that you want to talk about in short, and then you try to say basically or write how to do that thing with this technology. That's what I did in these three articles. And also I've used lots of screenshots. It's very important to use screenshots, diagrams, figures. Like most of the people don't use tools which are provided by text editing or blogging platforms or text editing apps and stuff. Just just do it. Use all of these like fonts, like different types of text and stuff, titles, whatever. And I've updated all the series after 8 months. I don't recommend it. I do recommend it to do it after 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, and so on and so forth. This is basically the exact same screenshot I've taken last night. The on the left you see the traffic to my first article, and on the right you see traffic to the first article in the series about load testing. So as you see, it drove about like 8.7K. 25% of which is internal on Medium. Actually, there's something interesting which I forgot to say is to try to publish through different channels, different publishers. So, for example, I published my content through uh, this startup publisher, which is a very famous, like the first or the second big publisher on Medium with
Yeah,
600.
615,000
Yeah,
people.
exactly. So when they publish your article, basically 600,000 people would get notification about your article. So that's huge.
If they allow you to publish it.
Yes, actually, for my first article, they reached me out and say, "Do you want to publish on our platform?" And I said, "Yes, okay," and just submitted, and they quickly accepted. So yeah, that was for me. So if you see on the left, there's this bitwise.ca state of OSWE. Is the link that I told you about that there was this penetration testing guy who took an exam and wrote a postmortem about
Yeah,
the
112 views.
exam. Exactly. That's how traffic comes. Like he generated lead to my article, and also somebody posted my link on a group of like um, security guys on Facebook, and that's how Facebook drove 1.1 thousand like views like to my article. And on the left, you will see a lot of like uh, engineering blogs and like VK. I don't know. I think it's Facebook for Russians,
Yeah.
and also the most important thing in these two screenshots is the google.com. So you see like at least 30 to 40% of the traffic or more comes from Google. That's how an article is search optimized. So when somebody, I can show you basically, if you want, I can say secure code
But
review.
can you do this in Command Shift N, like in anonymous window, so it doesn't
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
so it
Common shift
doesn't
E,
optimize the
something.
search result from
Yeah,
from
yeah,
from
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
cookies?
Secure code review JavaScript. Yeah, let's go. What do you see?
Yeah, your article pretty much. Okay.
Yeah, that's, I
Yes,
mean,
but
this is
through
the
the
first
startup.
article.
It's through the startup. That's the thing.
Exactly, exactly. And also the interesting thing is that the actual document of the OWASP, which I used to write my article, is the fourth link. You see, oh,
Mm-hmm.
fifth, sixth, I don't know, just down the bottom
Okay.
of search. So that's what I'm talking about.
So pretty much what you're saying right now is that because you are cited by different sources, because you're published by the startup, Google likes your article and shows it like in rated fast.
Also that I've used long tail keywords. So if I go back to the article, I can show you how. So I have used lots of long tails. So this is a long tail. This is basically kind of a keyword. And also I've used like it multiple times. So security code review, like I've defined it. Like I've tried to mention a lot of different things. You see another keyword as a title, then reference to another project, and reference to a lot of different links. So this backlinking is also very important. Um, this is also another keyword. This is it basically. I've used lots of keywords as titles or as text to drive traffic.
We're dramatically over time and tired, both us and
I'm done
the
basically.
load of people listening. But if you have a conclusion, and maybe we spend like a bit of time discussing this.
Yeah, it's very short. So I've already talked about it. So basically, so optimization is magic. So you never know. I've tried it multiple times with different types of traffic, but it all depends on the amount of traffic each keyword and each content has. So you may not expect to write about something very niche and to get lots of traffic from search engines because it doesn't work that way. Also, very tiny changes will make big differences. So of tiny changes, I would say one more link, one more like line tail keyword, one more content formatting improvement would make a lot of difference. The distribution channel is very important. As I said, bad formatting can ruin an article. Uh, Focus on the audience and see through their eyes, because like both of these articles which I've like tried to study was my own experience, so I knew what others uh, looking for. So I tried to search for the same content which I wrote about in an article, and I haven't found any. So I haven't found a one reference for everything I've done on the job in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. Uh, Never try to sell, at least obviously, because if you try to sell, I've said it multiple times in different events, developers quickly smell that you're trying to sell something. And also be aware of content decay. This is very.
Yeah. Hassan, Yana,
Let me.
you first, because like I have million questions, but let's just shut me up for a bit.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. It actually reminds me on the time back 2008 when I briefly was working as internet marketing manager, and I quickly needed to learn all the SEO aspects, and the Twitter was just rising, and like first corporate Twitters and stuff. But indeed, not many things changed. What I recall from back then is that be very much aware of what you are doing, because Google can, for like repeating too much the same phrase, or for like backlinking, or for using different software for SEO optimization. Once Google smell it, they kind of push you on the third page results. So I remember how difficult it was and organically it didn't work that well, but very interesting to see that pretty much the same rules remain the same now, and it's great that people in different industries are now easily, like not easily, yeah, you needed to take some time to learn this and a lot of experience, but could adopt these kind of things to bring this to the real world, that's what Google is expecting, that the real authors will write useful content, and they're just looking at to bring it up. So cheers, great, and great that you don't really sell things, obviously, because developers smell it everywhere on meetups,
and very quickly,
on, like, or wherever. Oh, like, yeah, so that's cool. Thank you. That's been like great insight.
Yeah.
I think I need to add to the same thing, and I like to hear from fellow DevRel people that in my position, I'm very like lucky that I don't need to sell anything. I'm more focused on going in, and there is a breach of gap of like communication or gap of knowledge, and that's what I focus on. And the same way as Mostafa is saying, I would say the content brings people to the events. So if the content and the information is good, I don't do even selling myself or selling the event. People will come by themselves. So the content is key, and not selling is drives the event even more. So definitely yes.
Right, now I like, I mean, it's sort of, it's easy, to talk in broad terms like, oh, the content is key, don't sell, and other things that are 100% correct. But then once you're trying to actually implement that, like, okay, how do I write my article? Like, do I figure out like what is trending on the internet and then put it? I mean, Mustafa tried to bring in like this metrics of how you like the modus operandi, and at this point I'm just like, I'm now lost. Like, do I blog about what I care or about what people care. Since, I mean, putting things in text takes actually lots and lots of time. Like for us here, we just, we just got together and we talk through this and we discuss and like whatever, 20, like in 20 minutes we can come up to something, and that's pretty much the useful time. And to come up with an article, well, it takes weeks. And then you're saying, well, you have to come back and revisit it and rewrite it. And so my main question is like, it sounds like lots and lots of time.
It is. Exactly.
It is.
Like this article took me 1 week of time to write. So
Well, 1 week is not that much unless it's for
I mean,
hours.
like because like I was doing the job, and because I had to report to like C-level managers what I did. I wrote the report and I tried to reframe the report into an article and publish it on my blog. So this is like I tried to link to the report, to the PDF report I gave to the managers of their like vulnerabilities and stuff, back to my article, and I said, this is how I did it, if you want to know, and this is the results of what I did. So if you see, I haven't included any results whatsoever because it was like I've signed an NDA and stuff. And I mean, nobody does that. But I kind of documented, basically, as a documentary, the whole process I did to do the job.
So,
like
in a
my
way,
journey from day 1 to like day 21.
So in a way, you're saying that it actually took you more than a week, but the content was already there. So putting together the content took a week, but like gathering the information took more time. Of course, it was part of the job.
Exactly. Yeah, because it came out of experience. So you may know this already, and you may have read it like over time for many years. Then you don't need to. You just have to go and review or like skim over the content and just include whatever you want out of the things you read and want to include.
And I mean, obviously, you were not always the much cited author liked by Google and all that. And obviously, I mean, if a mere mortal like many of us just publishes something on Medium, he or she gets like 2 views, 3 views, not
Really?
1,000, but yeah. So the question is, how do
Interesting.
you scale
I
up
didn't know that.
from 3 views
Honestly.
to 3,000 views?
Oh, okay. Interesting. So the first thing is the experience. So you shouldn't write on things which you are not sure about. This is very important. You should like not to be the best expert in the field, but at least have some experience.
I mean,
like,
in your table
I can
with the
start
links,
writing about game design if I don't know about it.
No, but in your table, like with where are you getting traffic? 25%, that's Medium internal. That's because the startup publishes you. Then
Exactly.
another 25% is Google, because Google somehow figured out that you write something that people read. The
Yeah.
rest are in tens or low hundreds. So it's pretty much the Medium as a platform that gives you the traffic.
Medium and search.
Right.
These
So
two are the
so my
basic.
question is, what have you done to get this?
Basically, I wrote an article. Literally, I didn't expect anyone even to read it because it was huge. It was a lot because I started reading like all these walls of text in different manuals of how to do load test, how to do code review, how to do like penetration testing. I already have the knowledge and experience, but for this exact job, I needed to follow a methodology. The methodology was something that was like uh, very popular in the industry, like in security industry. And I took that for granted. I read it. I tried to apply it. I tried to find people who did it. And I tried to record my whole experience. This is basically, as I said it like multiple times, this is basically what I did on the job.
Yeah,
So
but was it the first article of yours that got such a huge traction?
yeah, actually, it's the third of my like 20 article, 15, 20 articles I have. The first and the second are basically I'm I'm storytelling
Yeah.
about my two open source projects on GitHub. So I'm telling the story of those are basically just my experience. So I'm telling the story of how they became this. So I have two different projects, open source,
But
many others.
but can you say that basically once you figure out something once and then you get like that traction with Google and with bigger publishers like the startup or something else within Medium, then pretty much you're good. Whatever you publish gets traffic.
Yes and no. It depends. Like basically, for example, I have a list of 30 or more drafts in my blog, which I haven't had time to either publish or like try to clean
That's
up
a
and
lot
publish.
of content, a lot of writing.
Yeah, so I try to write whatever comes to mind just in a draft, the title and a little bit of what I'm thinking. Uh, but not all of it is interesting to everyone because most of them are niche. For example, my last article is about um, uh, free software, and let me see if I'm correctly remembering. Um, so it's about free software, a backtrack, and the subtitle is how corporations are trying to ruin everything and how some follow them and how the revolution is devouring its children.
Oh,
This
that
is
would capture a lot of attention. Why do you think it's so
exactly.
niche?
So the thing is, I'm trying to see through the eyes of someone who's been in the like free software, uh, what do you call it, the movement, the industry, whatever, and saw people getting punished, like Richard Stallman, like Linus Torvalds, like many others. They're punished by other big corporations if you see it from outside. And I'm trying to frame it in an article and try to link it with different articles written by different authors about such a thing, like basically having a common sense kind of or sixth sense, what do you call it, of trying to figure out how this works behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We have to shut
so
down, so let's summarize. We don't have time for the
politics.
webinar's question to Jan. We may discuss it tomorrow. I know I promised it, but yeah, I mean we everybody is tired already. We cannot talk that much.